Hi folks, this is Jay. I hope you're okay. Love to everybody. Pretty angry. I mean really angry, but I've just got to calm down and got to make sure that I don't respond in the way that these people do. But basically folks, I want you to know something, young people, that I had a debate with a guy called Negation of P. He's an atheist. He's part of this militant atheist group that's on YouTube. I had a debate with him. The guy forgot to bring evidence. He didn't bring any evidence to the debate. He had his butt handed to him. He completely lost. The atheist community are so brain dead that they don't even know they've lost half of them. Some do. Some of them have told me that they're ashamed of the debate from the atheist side. But half of the atheists haven't really cottoned on. But some of the atheists, not liking the fact that I keep uploading the debate, I've decided to try and flag the debate that I put up. And in the end, I don't want any trouble with YouTube, so I've taken 3 of those copies of those debates down. Negation of P has not said anything to me. The guy who I had a debate with, nor Skeptic Fence, have complained. Not one of them have complained about me putting up the debate. So I just want it to be known that these atheists are nasty, totally nasty, despicable in their tactics, underhanded, and they will not come out and have proper academic debate and discussion and scholarship with me. And this is the kind of tactics. So they tell everybody, oh, Jason lost the debate, but oh, Jason, don't put your debate up in public, please. No, don't keep making copies of it. Oh no, you lost the debate, Jason, but oh no, don't put any copies up. Why is that? Because they know they lost. They know they lost. And I'm sick and tired. That's why I'm sick and tired to death of this militant, hypocritical atheism. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. They're just a bunch of hypocrites because they won't come out. Not the atheist, I mean these militant atheists. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. A bunch of hypocrites. But I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to go around on their channels and DMCA, because I don't believe in that. But I am absolutely fuming at the double standards of these militant atheists. They make me sick to death because they're disgusting. They can't have proper academic debate and discussion. They can't get involved in proper cultured debate and discussion. And they've got to play manipulative games. dprjones phoning me up, ringing me, contacting me on Skype, but having Negation of P listening in. Here, let's go. Apparently, it's up on the last part of the show. Skeptic Fence is on. Let me just show you the despicable atheist, hardcore atheist.
For reasons, yes. Please do.
If anyone looks at my channel and sees what my initial, best part of a dozen videos concentrated on, it was all about him. Do you want me to go further?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want me to explain why I disliked him?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. As I said, it wasn't my intention initially to do videos, but I somehow came across the Thunderfoot's channel, and then there was the DMCA issue.
They want the American help. They want the United Nations.
But yes.
No, I mean, and that just so everybody kind of knows the story, DPR called me and had this absolutely brilliant idea of calling Jason and saying, "Hey man, can you give me the paperwork? Cite your sources." So, while he was citing the sources,
Hey, folks, I debated this guy who's talking about this debate. This guy didn't bring any evidences at all. I did 20 to 30 hour preparation. I quoted a number of sources.
I was in the background. Jason didn't know I was around, but again,
see, he admits it. He admitted it.
Anything that he gave us to see
this is the despicable atheist, folks.
And
they will not come out and academic debate me, but they descend to this nonsense. Let's just do it again.
Handled him with kid gloves at all times.
Let's listen to
guys.
You can close with the arguments between you, and you can talk about that for 10 minutes if you want.
Then basically I want to thank everybody who gave me a shout out last week. Coctopus, I know you're here. Wise Apple, you did a video and mentioned me. Dark Matter 2525. Basically, guys, everybody out there that said something about my video, I really appreciate it. And Live Life, that I still would be just making comments. So, man, I really appreciate everything you've done for me.
No, you're welcome. Anytime, man.
Other than that, guys, thanks again for coming out. I definitely will be here every week. So I guess if me and DPR are going to kind of close with the talking about the debate, then I'll wait until then.
Yeah, thumbs up for Andrew coming in, Andrew Kelly for coming in tonight. Andrew, thank you very much. I'm going to cut you loose. I'm going to let DPR and Nation talk a little bit here.
Okay, but before I go,
sure.
It must be said. Not all Irish people talk like this. And if you think they do, you're a fucking retard.
I demand that you answer this question. What is 34 minus 2/3?
34 minus 2/3. 2/3 of what?
33 1/3.
It's not a hard question, come on.
33 1/3.
Can I just say...
Come on, Andrew. Say it.
Come on. Fucking morning.
Thanks, Andrew.
I was half paying attention.
What is 34 minus 2/3?
31 1/3?
Well, it's actually 33.
Sorry. 3 o'clock in the morning. Fuck off.
I know. That's another thing I want to... Thanks, Andrew. Take care, bud.
You cruel colonialist swine.
Guys, another thing I want to put out there, people that are in other countries, like we have people from England, UK, Ireland. I really appreciate you staying up this late and checking out the show. I do appreciate that. DPR, what do you got to say? And I'll let you and Negation go at it for about 10 minutes, and we'll close the show down. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to address Mikey, who actually got the answer right. Dirty tree and a turd. Yeah. I'm only making jest of...
That's a pretty good joke.
Well, no, terrible of me. We've got 10 minutes. Okay, let's cut to the chase.
Sure.
Last week you had a conversation with an academic debate with YouTube user...
Make sure you say academic.
Jason Burns.
Yeah, the reason why I said academic Live Life is because you and DPR Jones on Magic Sandwich Show have been nasty, week in, week out, for many, many months. An academic debate means we have to treat each other as gentlemen, and we show each other respect in a democratic space. That's something you've not cottoned on to, Live Life, or you DPR Jones, okay?
There are a number of issues that I have in relation to that. Firstly, he made a number of videos subsequent to that in which he claimed to have won debate. But the one that I want to touch upon first, very briefly, is that he subsequently accused me of being partial as a moderator because I was an atheist. Was there anything that I did during the course of that debate as a moderator that you thought was unfair on him?
If you're asking me, I have no idea what he's talking about. If anything, DPR, you were absolutely the most gentle and handled him with kid gloves at all times.
In the debate, DPR Jones asked me, did I think masturbation was a sin? And he wanted to clarify that. The reason why he asked for that question is because he knew that that was something. If I said it was a sin, that would prejudice people's people who were hearing. The atheist would not look favourably to me if I said something like that. So I said to dprjones, that's irrelevant to the debate. So there were little moments like that where he did come in and try to prejudice the debate.
You could have called him out multiple times in multiple areas, and I think if we would have been in a university setting or a formal setting, which he apparently wants to go to, I think he would have been embarrassed from the first 20 minutes. Again, I think that you did what you could. You let him talk. You let him make his points without any question, without any bias, and basically put it on me to ask him the questions. And I tried to as much as possible to redirect him back on there. And again, I didn't want to embarrass him, or I didn't want him to feel bad either. But apparently.
Well, you've seen the videos that he's made subsequently, which include him for the best part of 5 or 6 minutes, laughing hysterically, saying that he had won you and won me. And again, I couldn't quite understand this, because how he won me as a moderator, I don't know. He's never explained that. But just going back to...
Because basically, you have a show, dprjones, week in, week out, that attacks and criticises Christianity, and you do it as if you're like this intellectual, but you've shown yourself not to be an intellectual, because you can't handle academic debate. Because when you were the moderator, you not only were biased during the debate, you were also pretty bad afterward the debate, because number one, you made a nasty comment about me right after the debate. So I'm going to retaliate and make some more videos to rub your nose in it for the stupidity that you've been, okay? To make you see that you're not as clever and all wise and all knowing as you make yourself out to be, mate.
Winning you, so to speak. And let me just make this clear. As a moderator, do not expect me to be unbiased. Expect me to conduct the debate in an unbiased way. And the one that I would throw back at Jason, if I had the opportunity or the inclination, was he mentioned at some point debates with William Lane Craig that people have had. And there was a classic example of that. Last year, I think it was, Craig went around United Kingdom sort of like having debates with people. And on one occasion, he had a debate with someone, and a week later, this very same person was acting as moderator in that debate. The idea that a moderator has to be totally unbiased is a nonsense. The only criticism, as far as I can see, is that subsequent to the debate, I posted a few comments on his videos in which he declared that he'd won, and I said that he was, in effect, an arse. But leaving that aside, let's get back on. Do you think that he actually answered the question?
The thing is about that, it's the specific debate. We had a debate, me and Negation, and it's not for you to come in and attack the person who's debated one of your people. You stay away from it and let people make up their own mind. Okay? Otherwise, don't be a moderator.
Or addressed the issue.
Absolutely not. I really, and maybe I'm being way over optimistic.
Now listen to dprjones, a negation of P, and watch how, number one, they provide no evidence, number two, they provide no arguments, and notice how it's all personal attack on me. Listen now.
Here, but
let's listen and see. dprjones, one of the top atheists on YouTube, a negation of P. Let's see them give some arguments and evidence to all that they're going to say now.
Like he said in, 7, 8 videos now where he's declared victory, He did. He called me on Skype and warned me that he was going to throw everything at me. And I was fairly, I guess, impressed that he would be that cocky. And I really hoped that he was going to bring a strong argument. And when he shows up with no argument, it really, I have to be honest, it set me back a couple in that first 20 minutes going, are you ever going to bring this to a point where you actually address the question?
So, he's saying I haven't addressed the question, but have you noticed something? Negation of P, and we'll get on to DPR Jones, they're not even mentioning an argument or providing any evidence or anything. It's all about me and issues about me personally. Now the problem with Negation of P's video is in that video he makes a couple of statements and he assumed that what he was saying was correct. Now if you make a proposition, if you make a statement that you will act in such a way perfectly all the time before your parents, and you make a comment like that or a similar statement like that, and that's part of your video, and then you want me to come and discuss the ramifications of that, you've got to make sure that you've got evidence to back up your statements. And this is what Negation of P and DPR Jones and Live Life 8072 and some atheists in the community don't realise, that it's perfectly legitimate for me to come on a show. You've asked me to discuss something, but it's perfectly legitimate for me to deconstruct what you are saying, the very premises. And that's what I did. I deconstructed the premises. I broke the main premise down and provided evidence against the main premise. So before you could even get onto your topic that you wanted to talk about, you had to prove your premises. And that's what Negation of P failed to realise that he needed to do. And that's what DPR Jones has failed to realise. And I'm not surprised, because he's not as an eminent thinker as he is.
And
as he thinks he is.
At that point, I'm thinking, all right, I guess I'll answer this off the top of my head as much as possible, and then try to redirect you back onto the question that we agreed almost 2 weeks ago that we would actually talk about. And you know, if you watch the debate, that was every round. I'm more or less confused about why you're not addressing a very straightforward, simple question.
Because it was based on certain premises, and I felt the premises were not proven, and I provided arguments and evidence against those premises. Now it was for you to defend those premises and say, Jason, these premises can be proven, here's my evidence, now let's move on to the rest of the discussion. But because you failed to provide evidence to defend your premises, then I'm sorry, we couldn't go on to discuss your conclusion.
I couldn't understand it. So, I mean...
Well, I have to say that I was, I'm human, and I was very irritated by the videos that he posted subsequent to your debate, because I think it was a perfectly fair debate. I think that he had every opportunity, save perhaps one when it got to the point where, with very short time left to go, he was seeking to repeat his neuroscience argument. And I cut him short on that. But
yeah, it wasn't a case of just repeat. There was an extra bit to the neuroscience evidence that was important. And when he stepped in, he made it seem, and he knew what he was doing, he made it seem that I was teaching determinism. And it was important for me to get in some information to show that I wasn't saying that. But he made it look as if I was trying to spout determinism. And he knew what he was doing at that present time. So, you know, it was an important cut-off point that he did against me. And also that argument in the debate was key. The extra bit of information was key in also dealing with Negation of P's premises.
Even when I did that, you then said, no, allow him to finish, which he did. And he said that, effectively, goldfish don't have a conscience. That wait a minute. The truth of the matter is, you didn't let me fully
say what I wanted to say. You cut me off, and I quickly got it in, and you said, right, that's enough, that's enough. So it was something that you didn't want me to say, but I had to get it in quickly. Alright, so that's the truth of it, mate.
That was the only point that I sort of like kind of cut him off of, but he had the opportunity to say. But what I was irritated about, and the reason that I subsequently engaged with him, was that during the course of his opening 20 minutes, he had made reference to a neuroscientist and recent neuroscientific research. And I thought afterwards, you know, fuck you, Jason. Okay, what is this? I mean, I think that you probably suspected at the time that he was winging it, and I certainly did. So
basically, he's saying, screw you, Jason. Right. And he wants to find out about this neuroscience. This guy who I debated didn't bring any information, didn't bring any facts, didn't bring anything. In the debate, I'm mentioning tons of stuff about different scholars and thinkers. So I mean, it's a bit cheeky of him, dprjones, the top atheist on YouTube, wanting to me clarify my neuroscience stuff. I mean, it's a joke. And I've told you, I told him. I'll come back to it in a minute.
All I did was send him messages saying, can you please provide the peer-reviewed papers that you're relying on? And this is the rather than just picking on Jason, but this is the more general point about theists who try and engage in this sort of debate. They are utterly dishonest. And I knew that he was being dishonest on this point, because it's not difficult to spot. When he says a neuroscientist describes the front of the brain, the middle of the brain, and the back of the brain, I knew he was talking bullshit. So all I did was ask him for the papers, and I knew he could not give them to me.
He's talking a load of bull here. He's talking a load of bull. Here's the Skype conversation here, right? And I told him. He says, hi Jason, I was just rewatching. I went, hi. He says, I was just rewatching the academic debate. Can you send me your sources concerning the neuroscience referred to? Yes, I'm getting it now. Listen, this is what I said. It was a lecture we had by Dr. Robbie Church. I'm trying to find it. Okay, is there a problem, he says. This is the chap, dprjones. He came and gave us a lecture on the brain, how the brain works, using cutting-edge thinking in neuroscience. So if you go on his site, you should find out about him. My church did not record the lecture. That's my church, okay? Then he goes, is that the only source you relied on? I was under the impression that you had read some papers too. I said, I read a stack of papers on my notes on philosophy for the debate, just made videos on them. I've just got back from the lecture, and the debate we had was soon to start, so did not have time to check, but he is an expert in the work he was talking about. He's a clinical psychologist. I had ideas what to say, but I just said things in the debate with material I needed. What science papers did you read? I just get my notes and give you a list of some sources. Paul Ricoeur on memory, history and oblivion. Is that paper a book, an article? He doesn't even know who it is. That shows the low intellectual caliber of the dprjones is. I says that's an article very famous. Paul Ricoeur is pretty famous French philosopher, and he didn't even know that. W.V. Quine is the next person. He goes, where would I find it? He doesn't even know who W.V. Quine is, who's one of the top philosophers of the 20th century. He died not so long ago, and also eminent in the work of science and how the brain works and how it relates to behaviour. He didn't even know that. Just type in and Google, it will come up, or go to the Ricoeur website. They'll have links to his work, Scientific Understanding of Subjectivism by W.V. Quine. So this is not the person that you gave a lecture. This is a different person. Yes, I'm giving you some links to philosophers and thinkers in science that I used as background material to some thoughts. Quine was a blessing. I'd rather stick to neuroscience for the moment. Well, I told you on the neuroscience we have a lecture by an expert in the clinical psychology. I have read a lot of Sam Harris, Dennett, etc. You consider the lecture to be an expert. You refer to recent discoveries and went to referred to rats and went back to the 1950s, and I'm just trying to work out what you actually read about recent neuroscience discoveries. Now we was told he was an expert, but I got an email about 2 months ago from Thomas Nagel. Thomas Nagel is one of the top philosophers in the modern world today. He emailed me a few months ago. At that time I was looking into the freedom of the will. He sent me some reading list, some on neuroscience. It is not rocket science, bro. If you note in the debate, you cut me off when talking about fish. If you would have let me go on, I would have told you the full story, so I have some idea on the subject. I can tell if a person knows what he's talking about. I had Nagel's books, my reading on Dennett and Harris, so I can tell if a person knows what he's talking about. I was hoping for a citation of a paper that referred to the front, middle and back parts of the brain. Now notice something. In the videos clip and here, never once does he provide any information or argument against my neuroscience stuff that I used. So it's just a joke. I was hoping for citation of paper referred to, etc. Mr. Jones, you can go and study Dr. Robbie. If you want a full list of the papers I studied for the debate, I will send them to you in the morning. But I have been honest with you, bro. I would have thought you would have had them at hand, but if you could send me tomorrow, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, take care. I do have them at hand, but I have, Mr. Jones, 40 hours of work. It would take me all night to type. If you want all the sources I studied for the debate, then I'll send them to you in the morning. Take care and hope you are well. Okay. Mr. Jones, I'm not going to lie to you, because he keeps asking me about this scientific papers. I read many peer academic papers by Paul Ricoeur, W. Quine, and many more. I could send them. I can cover everything. I covered many of my points in the academic papers. I have my back covered if pushed by the debater with reading Harris, Dennett and Nagel from memory and the lecture of Dr. Robbie. But I had papers read by N.T. Wright, John McDowell, Dr. Balcom, and many more papers if you want them. If you want me to back up the neuroscience, then we'll send some papers in the morning, but that will be in new research to back up Dr. Robbie. That anyone who reads a bit of Dennett and Harris would know. Now, that's the conversation I had on Skype. Now, let's just go back. Now, is that a fair representation of what he's saying about me? Listen.
Kingdom, sort of like having debates with people. And on one occasion, he had a debate with someone, and a week later, this very same person was acting as moderator in that debate. The idea that a moderator has to be totally unbiased is a nonsense. The only criticism, as far as I can see, is that subsequent to the debate, I posted a few comments on his videos in which he declared that he'd won, and I said that he was, in effect, an arse. But leaving that aside, let's get back on. Do you think that he actually answered the question or addressed the issue?
Absolutely not. I really, and maybe I'm being way over optimistic here, but like he said in, I don't know, 7, 8 videos now where he's declared victory, he did. He called me on Skype and warned me that he was going to throw everything at me. And I was fairly, I guess, impressed that he would be that cocky. And I really hoped that he was going to bring a strong argument. And when he shows up with no argument, it really, I have to be honest, it set me back a couple in that first 20 minutes going, are you ever going to bring this to a point where you actually address the question? And at that point, I'm thinking, all right, I guess I'll answer this off the top of my head as much as possible. And then try to redirect you back onto the question that we agreed almost 2 weeks ago that we would actually talk about. And you know, if you watch the debate, that was every round. I'm more or less confused about why you're not addressing a very straightforward, simple question. I couldn't understand it. So
I have to say that I was. I'm human, and I was very irritated by the videos that he posted subsequent to your debate, because I think it was a perfectly fair debate. I think that he had every opportunity, save perhaps one when it got to the point where with very short time left to go, he was seeking to repeat his neuroscience argument. And I cut him short on that. But even when I did that, you then said, no, allow him to finish, which he did. And he said that effectively goldfish don't have a conscience. That was the only point that I sort of like kind of cut him off of. But he had the opportunity to say. But what I was irritated about, and the reason that I subsequently engaged with him, was that during the course of his opening 20 minutes, he had made reference to a neuroscientist and recent neuroscientific research. And I thought afterwards, you know, fuck you, Jason. Okay, what is this? I mean, I think that you probably suspected at the time that he was winging it, and I certainly did. So all I did was send him messages saying, can you please provide the peer-reviewed papers that you're relying on? And this is the rather than just picking on Jason, but this is the more general point about theists who try and engage in this sort of debate. They are utterly dishonest. And I knew that he was being dishonest on this point because it's not.
So he contacted me on Skype. He's accusing me of being dishonest, and on Skype I told him exactly the situation. I came home from church, a lecture with Dr. Robbie. I told him who Dr. Robbie was. I told him that I hadn't had time to check him out because I'd just come back from the lecture on how the brain works, and it was cutting edge research in neuroscience. I gave the link to Dr. Robbie's site. He's a clinical psychologist, and also I told dprjones, and I didn't know Negation of P was listening in, and I told him that I had read Dennett, I had read Harris, I had read Nagal, I had read Quine, and I had read other people before on neuroscience, and I knew that everything was fine. This guy, notice dprjones, not once provides any argument or evidence against what I've said about how the brain works. Notice that. It's all personal attack against me. Okay. And he fails to give the proper context of the conversation that we had in Skype. He didn't tell them, oh, Jason's read Sam Harris, and he's read Dennett, and he's read Nagal, and he's read Quine. Incidentally, I don't know who Quine is, but he's read him. He doesn't mention that. He gives the impression that I'm an ignoramus using something that I don't know anything about. I also have a long history of reading psychology. I did my dissertation a number of years ago in psychological learning methods and preaching. And he gives the impression that I'm just some kind of dishonest person using neuroscience. And it's interesting to note that his man, Negation of P, presents no arguments and no evidence for his position. I presented tons of I have tons of notes from that debate of scholars that I read and could quote it for many topics. So he's just not being honest himself.
Difficult to spot when he says a neuroscientist describes the front of the brain, the middle of the brain, and the back of the brain. I knew he was talking.
Yeah, no, cutting edge research in neuroscience. That's what the lecture was about. Okay. So, you know, clarify that, mate.
Bullshit. So all I did was ask him for the papers, and I knew he could not give them to me. Yeah, and eventually he admitted that he could not give them to me, and he had just made this bullshit up. And when he eventually tried...
I never admitted that I made it up. I didn't make it up, and that's just complete dishonest. These are just basic things that psychologists use from what cutting-edge research in neuroscience is. They're using it to do counselling, help people in counselling, help people in the way people learn and the way people have relationships. So this guy, dprjones, has been completely dishonest. Completely dishonest. I mean, it's really bad, actually. It's worse than I actually thought.
To justify where
And this guy says these things, but presents no. You know, he's accusing me of certain things, but he doesn't present an academic paper himself to prove me wrong. He doesn't provide any books or arguments or anything. He doesn't tell them I've read Dennett and Sam Harris and Nagel. He doesn't tell them that. He doesn't tell them that I was willing to give stuff in the morning if he wanted stuff in the morning. He's just been completely anti-intellectual.
this came from. He cited a clinical psychologist.
No, I mean, and that just so everybody kind of knows the story, DPR called me and had this absolutely brilliant idea of calling Jason and saying, "Hey, man, can you give me the paperwork? Cite your sources." So, while he was citing the sources, I was in the background. Jason didn't know I was around, but again, looking at anything that he gave us to see if there was any validity to them. And while I'm looking on PubMed and any place I can find that there is real world scientific research being done, I'm not finding anything. And at the end,
it's laughable. I didn't even know this guy was listening in. So I mean, that's a breach of people's privacy. So they're two people who are just spying. They're picking on this neuroscience. I mentioned Dominic Crossan. I mentioned many other scholars in the debate. Alright, this guy mentioned nothing. Right? He had nothing. He brought nothing to the debate. And they want to check out my sources. And I told him I did 30 to 40 hours of debate, of research, and had stacks of notes. If he wanted them, he could have them. And I've explained to him the aspect of neuroscience, what the case was there. Now, this neuroscience that I mentioned in the debate was cutting edge research that is mentioned, is mentioned in other, even in atheist scholars. So I mean, it's just well known. I mean, you don't have to be a genius. These people are. This guy here is an ignoramus, and this guy, because if you know anything about psychology, this kind of stuff is common. It's kind of common knowledge. They really are ignorant people.
The night, like DPR said, he basically ends up releasing a video admitting that the only thing he had was a speaker in his church had come, I believe it was the day before or the day of, and told him about this middle and back and front of the brain phenomenon that, as far as I know, is, let's say, a little shaky to say the least. I haven't been able to find anything on it. I don't know if you any.
Okay, now listen to this. You heard him say I mentioned Robbie, Dr. Robbie, but he never mentioned how I'd, in the Skype conversation, mentioned to him about Sam Harris, Dennett, and Nagel. Did you notice that? Okay. I made a video. When dprjones rang me, he kept pressing me about this neuroscience, and I thought it was a bit strange. I thought, this is really, really strange. And because I made a video laughing at him, I really genuinely thought the guy, I crushed the guy. I really, really thought I crushed the guy. I really did. I thought I'd really upset him. So I said to him, for you and for negation of P, I'm going to fall on my sword. Right? And I said, so I made a video right there while, for you and negation of P, but I didn't know negation of P was listening in. I said, for you and negation of P, I'm going to fall on my sword, because I felt sorry for negation of P as well. I said, I'm going to make a video now, and I made a video saying, dprjones has cornered me on neuroscience, and I hadn't got the papers, but I went to church and I listened to this guy, and that's all I said. And it was just a little olive branch to dprjones and negation of P, because I thought I'd really crushed him and possibly hurt negation of P, and that's why I genuinely made that video, because I felt I'd really, really done it to them, and it just seemed really irrational for me to have this guy keep pressing me about neuroscience when this guy had ignored me for 6 months. This guy had ignored me for 6 months. I've been asking for a debate for Aaron Ryan. This guy had ignored me for 6 months, and then he suddenly is on Skype talking to me, and it seemed really irrational that he'd ignored me for 6 months and now he's talking to me and wants to know about neuroscience. And I told him the story, and I was completely honest with him. So there was no shenanigans, and I fell on my sword just a little bit. It was no big deal. I thought I'd just give him an olive branch just to help him out. But it was no big deal because I told him the full story of what happened. I went to church and we had a lecture on the function of the brain by Dr. Robbie, and I have a background in psychology. I am well read in Sam Harris. I'm well read in Nagal. I'm well read in Dennett, and I did a lot of work not so long ago, about 6 months ago, on the freedom of the will, and that involves reading a lot about neuroscience. So I was well able to spot if anybody was talking nonsense or not. And what the guy was talking about was just standard basic things that people know about if you're doing counselling and if you're helping people in relationship problems or learning difficulties, etc. So I mean, these guys are ignoramuses, really.
Oh, come on, get off the fucking fence. I'm so sorry. Get off the fence. It was obviously an absolute load of nonsense, and the person that he referred to was a Dr. Roby, and yeah, he appears to have some sort of qualifications.
Yeah, well, he says it's nonsense, okay. Where is his evidence to suggest that? Where's his evidence? He's got no evidence whatsoever. It's just nonsense. You know, it's just basic stuff that they don't even realise how ignorant they are.
In clinical psychology, he is not a neuroscientist, and I'm sorry, anyone that has any belief or acceptance of a nonsense, such as, oh well, a neuroscientist says there's a middle of the brain and the back of the brain, and I'm sorry, it's utterly ridiculous, and no.
It's just the guy's a stupid idiot. This guy, Dr. P.R. Jones, is a stupid ignoramus, because it's just basic stuff. It's basic stuff. It's cutting edge, but it's basic. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy's a complete idiot.
Sympathy should be given to Jason for being so disingenuous. It's just absolute nonsense. And
I'm calling him out. I'm calling him out on that. I call you out, Dr. DPR Jones, for an academic debate on me on the freedom of the will, and I'll show you my ability to provide academic papers on neuroscience, mate. So I call you out on an academic debate on the freedom of the will, and I'll show you where I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so DPR Jones, either shut your trap and go and play on your little magic sandwich show, or come and have a debate with me on the freedom of the will. But mate, you've had your butt handed to you because you are an ignoramus. You don't know what you're even talking about, mate. I quoted you, Paul Ricoeur, in my Skype conversation. You hadn't even got a clue who he was. He's one of the perhaps most famous philosophers in modern times, influencing all the disciplines, and you, in negation of P, hadn't got a clue who he was. That's the level of your ability, mate.
Fortunately, this is what I have found, and this is the point I was going to finish off with. This is what I've found with a lot of theist debaters or apologists. They come up with absolute nonsense. I could name loads of them. We're all aware of them. William Lane Craig, Ken Ham, Ray Comfort, Venom Fang X. All of these people, utterly unscientifically educated.
Well, I call you out, DPR Jones. You're lying. You're not telling the truth. You're being despicable in your attitude and the way that you're trying to defame my character on this issue, and I call you out for an academic debate on the freedom of the will, and I will show you what we can do, I'll present to you scientific evidence with detailed notes for my position on the freedom of the will. Okay? So shut your trap, DPR Jones. Unless you're willing to back it up, you're talking bull, mate. I'm calling you out. If you're not willing to debate me, you're talking bull. And don't start attacking my character, saying I'm nuts and saying I'm ill and all that. You are despicable for saying what you're saying, because you're not willing to back it up with an academic debate. Okay, I told you the situation. I told you that I went to a church and we had a lecture on how the brain works, and it was cutting edge stuff in neuroscience. I told you that. I told you I got back home, I didn't have long before the debate, so I didn't have long to check out. I couldn't check out what he was saying, but I have a background reading in psychology for many years, mate, and I also have read some key text that mention a lot about neuroscience, mate. So I know if someone's talking nonsense.
Try.
And you were promised, if you wanted the papers, I could have given you in the morning if you wanted me to get specific on the issue.
And use science to bolster their position. That's what Jason did. He is just as bad as all of the others I've named. He doesn't deserve any sympathy or whatever.
The guy provides no evidence for his position. Negation of peace provided no evidence for the position.
I'm sorry, he was just being disingenuous.
Yeah, I'm like, seriously, to be honest with you, it's like Jason. Like, I saw, I saw, you know, I said to you, we talked this. Sorry, good night, Kitch. Good night. Thanks for coming out. The funny thing is, like Cockapus brought up, it's like it's pretty funny. Like when you start debating, like apologize to me, you know, all of us. Well, I apologize if I was me and you and this that. I'm like, well, why would you start with a fucking apology? It's like, well, it's fucking.
Because you've been nasty to me, mate. You've been pretty nasty to me. DPR Jones, the couple of days before we were organising the debate, me, Negation of P and DPR Jones had to meet for technical thing, and this guy, I just smiled at something Negation of P and he said. I wasn't being unkind, it just tickled me. This guy rounded on me and was really nasty to me, DPR Jones. So I thought to myself, well, I must have really got under these people's skin if he's being nasty to me. So I thought, I'll clear the air, and I was trying to be nice.
Stupid. Apology for what? But what about... Go ahead.
I mean,
5 more minutes, we're going to close the show. So go ahead.
So I want a rematch with you.
You know,
I want a rematch with you, and I want to debate with you.
I understand your frustration.
And I want to debate you as well.
If you have somebody like a Comfort, I will eviscerate that idiot. If I have the chance to get in with a William Lane Craig, I will rip him a new asshole from, you know, start to finish. But the problem is that I worry for Jason's sanity, and I mean, I hope if he's listening, this isn't personal, Jason. What I mean is that there are certain things out there that make me worry that we possibly could have done, I don't want to say damage, but I don't know how else to put it. And if you're hurting that much, if you feel that much, you need to go see somebody, Jason. And again, I'm really not trying to belittle you or make you feel bad. It's just that there is a part of me that worries that there's something potentially wrong. And that's, DPR, why I hesitate to be as fast as I will.
Well, I feel it necessary
I want
to make a couple of closing comments in my way, and I will be as very brief as I can possibly can. I have been genuinely worried about Jason's mental state for some time.
Yeah.
Since I became aware of him about 6, 7, maybe 8 months ago, when he started posting videos that he was going to appear on the Magic Sandwich Show and whatever. Yeah. I didn't make it public. I sent him PMs through YouTube, and I said, look, Jason, this is not going to happen. I tried to deal with him in a reasonable way. Mm-hmm. And it's not possible to do so. He is not reasonable. This is a man, I kid you not, who posted yesterday a load of videos which again said that he won every single atheist on YouTube. He was challenging Richard Dawkins for a debate, an academic debate, of course. Sam Harris, Ron Ra,
Aaron Ra,
Thunderfoot, and myself, and the Magic Sandwich Show, and the Skeptic Burns Show, and everything. And then, a few hours after that, he posted a video in which he said, "That's it, I'm done with YouTube altogether.
Because they get fed up.
I'm done." Within 24 hours of him posting that, he has posted another 46 videos.
Yeah, of preachers,
insane.
not me.
To what degree am I responsible for that insanity? No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I appreciate your point, Negation. He is probably someone that should be viewed with sympathy as opposed to anything else. But if he maintains his constant posting of videos, retiring from YouTube, and then, oh no, another 46 videos come up, and whatever. I'm sorry, he's fair game. And if the therapists that are working with him can't deal with him, don't.
The thing is though, they're doing this because on the Skype, I told DPR Jones, I said, look, 4 years ago I had a breakdown, and you know, forget about me, I'm not worth it, don't bother about me. And he's picked up on this negation of P, so that's why he's brought it up. Now if you go on my Skype, that information's gone, that personal information's gone. Some personal things that I mentioned to these two guys has gone off Skype. I don't know why it's gone, I don't know who's taking it off, but it's gone. So he knew this, and so he brings that up. Okay, DPR Jones did PM me, but I actually said to DPR Jones after the Magic Sandwich Show fiasco, he PM'd me again, and I told him, look, I'm going to leave you alone, and I left him alone. Okay, so he's not being completely honest there. Yes, I do post a lot of videos, a lot of them are other preachers, but sometimes I get a bit down and I say I'm not going to do it again, and then the next day I'll post a load of videos. Sometimes I do that, but at the end of the day, you know, it's about whether there's any arguments in those videos or not. And many of those videos, there are a lot of arguments. There are a lot of videos where there's a lot of evidence and information. The atheists don't choose to deal with those. Okay, and I also am a bit of a character. The thing is, have you noticed something? In everything that DPR Jones has said and negation of P, it's never been about any arguments that they've presented, nor any evidence that they've presented. Always it's been his personal attack upon me. It's as simple as that. And the thing is, when you watch the debate, if you watch the debate, ask yourself, is it fair what they're saying if you watch that debate? And the answer is no. Their accusations against me is no. Alright? It's not fair.
Blame me for that.
Yeah, the big thing is real quick. Hold on, let me get in here real quick, since I get to talk much, motherfucker. The funny thing is, like, he challenged us against him, like Aaron Ralph, Thunderfoot, you, DPR Jones, me, Skeptic Fan Show, Magic Sandwich Show, Negation. He challenged all of us to a 6-hour debate against him. One person per hour for like 6 hours, all 6 of us. I'm like, this guy's fucking insane, dude.
Well, I challenge you, Live Live 8072, and every one of those people you've mentioned to a full day's debate on the resurrection of Christ. Okay? I challenge you because I've spent many years studying theology, and I know for a fact that I can take any of your boys on, and not only just one at a time, I could take them 6 at a time for a full day. So I'm not out of my mind. So if you want to have a go, have a go. But if you're not willing to have a go, then I think you should shut up. And you see, I've got courage, and I'm willing to have a go and debate any of your people, even in a group. The thing is, you haven't got the courage. All you can do is attack me personally. Not one of you, in talking to me, have presented any evidence or argument or anything. It's all personal attack. All I ever want to do is present my arguments and my scholarship against what you've got to say. That's all I want, That's all I've ever wanted, and you consistently deny that. The reason why I made victory speeches after my video is because this guy got me to have a debate with him. He invited me, actually. He says I asked, but he invited me. And I spent 30 to 40 hours preparation, and this guy on the night didn't provide any evidence at all. And I was angry at him, and I wanted to make him see that he should have taken the debate more seriously. Okay, I made some victory videos against this guy because I made a victory speech and he came on and he was very nasty under one of my videos. So I thought, right, you're going to get a video showing that you need to think hard about what you're doing. And I did a video where I was laughing my head off to make him realise that he thinks he's clever, but he's not as clever as he makes himself out to be.
He's like, I will give me a year and I'll take you guys on. Dude, my friend's a psychiatrist. Okay, let me tell you this real quick. My friend's a psychiatrist. Thank you. But my friend's a psychiatrist. My best friend I knew for 20 years. Okay, very nice guy. He's a German guy. He came over to America, you know, found the fucking freedom over here. He loved it. Went to school over in Germany. Came over here, finished his schooling. He's a great psychiatrist. Whenever I need anything, I go see him, and he helps me out through my whole life. Like anything psychologically I have a problem with, or I'm dealing with a certain situation, I'll call him up. Like I actually talked to him last night, and he's always there for me. But when I talked about certain situations, me and him had a lot of talks about religion and how people act with religion, and we talked about this shit. I bring it up in some of my videos sometimes, and I, you know, talk to him about this shit, like his research. He's more of a researcher when it comes to psychiatric or psychological disorders. So he investigates that type of stuff. He does a lot of research on that. So what it boils down to is, like, he tells me, here, this is my research, go read it. This is my research, go read it. He has it written online. So I go there, which I should start posting my videos, but I got to get the okay from him first because I don't want people to know his name, that I'm best friends with him. So he actually wants to come on to the show. He wants to come on the show, but underneath be incognito about it. And I'm going to bring him on because this guy is an incredibly super smart guy. This guy makes like over 200 grand a year. I'm like, this guy's a fucking incredibly smart guy. And he helps me out whenever I need him. And he comes down the shore and visits me like 3-4 times a year. And this guy will blow your fucking mind away when it comes to why people believe in religion, because he's done research on this. And the funny thing about it is that he's a Roman Catholic. That's the funny part about it. And, but he looks at it, on the extremism point of view and everything like that, how people act when they're on religion. He does a lot of research on this. So I'm definitely bringing him on the show, and I think it's going to be a great show to have him on here. And people are going to love him. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
If I may,
for goodness
all right, because
yeah, sure.
there are a number of comments that have gone through the chat. The gist of which is, why do you bother with Benefit X? Why do you bother with this person, with that person? And some of the responses, I apologise for not being able to name them. I agree with you. The reason that we deal with these people burns the same. The reason why we deal with these people is because there are a lot of people that actually listen to them. People have asked me, why do I deal with Popov? Why am I trying to give Popov grief and get him removed from television in the United Kingdom and elsewhere? It's because people actually listen and believe this shit. And if anything that I can do, to whatever extent, may stop the poison that they are presenting, I will carry on doing it. That's why I do it.
Absolutely, and I think that's why all of us do this kind of stuff. Like, I hit this one guy up. What was his name? Randall Hyatt or something like that?
You call me dishonest, mate. So why not just have me an academic debate, me and you, eh? No, you won't. That sums you up, mate.
I don't know. But I made a video about him. He has over 5,000-6,000 subscribers or whatever. I popped him really good, and I got his attention really quick. And that's what we got to do. We got to combat these assholes on the internet. And you know what? Seriously, when it comes to people that are critical thinkers or skeptics, and like, we basically rule YouTube, I hate to say it, because that's the reason why they moderate their comments, they moderate everything. And that's the reason why we don't, because we know we have the truth. We can put out evidence and facts, towards certain issues. And that's why we do what we do.
So they've not presented any evidence or any facts against me. Not one bit.
And I don't care. I got all the religious people on there and try to bash my videos all they want. I don't give a shit. I welcome it. But they do not welcome the opposition. Because what happened...
No, they don't welcome the opposition. I've had to take 3 videos down off my YouTube channel today because people attacking me. Okay? They don't like opposition. They don't like opposition because they will not have any academic debates. Because they know we can present evidence and people will get to see that evidence. So instead what they do, they try to spy on Christian apologists. This guy rings me up on Skype, not telling me that this guy's listening in. And then they have the cheek to come on here and attack my character when they've been doing that. And present some kind of reason that they are trying to expose Christian apologists when in reality they're just charlatans themselves.
It makes people think. So when we post on their websites, it makes these fucking people think. You know, that's why they, you know, have this, what's a comment, moderation, whatever.
Don't forget this guy said, fuck you, Jason. dprjones said, fuck you, Jason. You know, that's not making people think. That's just showing your total ignorance and arrogance, lack of culture and lack of education.
That's why they do that. Because they don't want people to think. They should have this straight and narrow path.
I've been calling for academic debates for 2 years. I've had one with him and they're running away from academic debates. Alright? They don't want people to think. I've asked for a rematch with these people. They don't want to think. All they want to do is malign people.
When it comes to religion, and that's all they should fucking think about. So they'll listen to these fucking preachers online and fucking, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're wrong. So they don't want the opposition to post comments, and that's why they moderate them. So that's why
we get harassed. I used to get harassed really, really badly from atheists. They congregate on a Christian YouTube channel and they attack mercilessly and bully everybody off. So it's not true. We don't do that as Christians on atheist channels, but these people do on our channels. So it's hard to function openly on a channel when you have these aggressive atheists trying to pawn you or trying to attack you all the time. And they will not allow fair discussion and debate. That's why for months now I've been crying out for academic debates, and they won't do it, you see. And it gets on my nerves. It really, really, really gets on my nerves. They're just a shower of intellectual thieves, really.
Majority of these fucking people moderate their fucking comments. We don't, because we want people to know the truth. And we
excuse me, you do, because I've had to take 3 videos off because of your people, okay?
Try to push the truth as much as possible, even though it might be not absolute truth, but it's truth. Evidence and facts we can put out there on certain issues. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah, what evidence and facts did they present about me, against neuroscience? He said he knew a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Did he present any evidence from him to counteract what I was saying? No.
That's why I love doing a show like this, because that's what we promote, and that's what it's all about. Go ahead, negation or whatever.
DPR, yes.
Yes, I do. I don't know whether the comments in the chat are accurate or not, but is it serious that Jason Burns has gone on a hunger strike until he gets his debate with Arenya? You have got to be kidding.
You got to be kidding me. That's psychologically, yeah, that's fucked up psychologically.
No.
Let me go to his channel.
It's probably atheism TV fucking around that motherfucker.
It may well be. But whilst you're looking that up, negation, if I may just give a promotion for the Magic Sandwich.
Absolutely, go ahead. Absolutely.
Discussing issues with the religious. I've got no problem with that. I find it, on the whole, disappointing. But for tomorrow's show, we have the...
So there we are. I just think, personally, basically dprjones, you know, if you're not willing to have an academic debate with me on the freedom of the will, to give me an opportunity to answer your accusations, then you're just a charlatan yourself. Okay, I think it was disgusting that what you said there, concerning me not presenting any evidence about neuroscience, when on my Skype conversation I was very clear as to the situation. I took that video off concerning me falling on my sword, because I thought to myself, why should I do that? Because at the end of the day, you lost. Okay, you lost. Your man lost, and that's the way it is, you know what I mean? And I thought, you got to learn. At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, I have a lot to offer. I have a lot of reading, a lot of scholarship in biblical studies, and the fact of the matter is, you are not willing to engage with that DPR Jones, nor the Magic Sandwich Show, nor Skeptic Fence. And what you would rather do is attack me personally on my so-called mental illness. I did go through a nervous breakdown 4 years ago. I've come through that. I am a bit erratic. It's just because I'm that kind of character. I'm a bit of an artistic kind of passionate person, and I go over the top. But that's the way I am. The fact of the matter is, you're not willing to engage with me in a scholarly way. Instead, you spied on me and said things about me that were not true. So I asked for a rematch with Negation of P. I asked for a debate with you and Live Life and all your boys to prove me wrong. If I fail and do not win any of you, if I do not win you in academic debates, I will leave YouTube forever and ever and ever. But you will not do it, because you've got no bottle.